Alf, in a world that is heavily focused about buying and selling,
the soothing sounds of Raoul, ladies and gentlemen.
Not a whole lot of holding, as we have seen in the sports card world. I'm going to talk about 5 cards that I am not selling. Stick around. What's going on, sports card hobby family? We have made it to the end of the week. Who is ready for the weekend? Hands up, I'm ready for the weekend. It has been a beast for me. Actually, the last few weeks really have been. November is going to be a lot, and then we kind of get into December. It's going to slow down for our family, and I'm looking forward to it. A lot of exciting things coming up, but I'm looking forward to a little bit of a slowdown in the month of December. Before I dive in and we look at some cards, big thanks to our Friday shoutouts, justcollect.com. You've got a collection, you don't know what it's worth. You're like, how do I get an appraisal for this thing? Easy appraisal form on justcollect.com. Leighton Sheldon also has a Just Collect YouTube channel. A lot of really cool shows. He talks about the hobby over decades, different collections that he's buying, educating the masses on cards, etc. So make sure to check out justcollect.com. Card Capsule. Card Capsule. You want great supplies, but you don't want to pay a fortune for them. High quality supplies at fair prices. Make sure to check out Card Capsule. I've got links below to get you a discount there. If you need discounts, man, it's all in the video description as well as in the pinned comments. All the different hobby companies and different discounts there attached. So make sure to check out the video description. A lot of interest, a lot of traction around the Air Show, 23 Air Show that's coming up end of April 2025. So you got plenty of time to plan. It's going to be in my backyard, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where Michael Jordan famously sunk the jumper that sunk Georgetown for the national championship. This is a Michael Jordan focused show. So think about a card show and a sports memorabilia show that is solely focused around the GOAT. It's going to be a fun time. So reach out to me on IG or by email. I can send you information on how to exhibit as a vendor as well as how to attend as an attendee. Before I start with some of my favorite cards in my collection, I picked 5 that I'm not going to sell, but frankly, there's a lot more than 5. I just picked 5. If you're new here, sports cards and non-sports cards are really just kind of a piece of the larger 80s, 90s nostalgia puzzle that is my collection. And I've shown this stuff on the channel before, but I've also got graded video games. I've also got graded comic books. I'm into the action figures from the 80s, the TMNT stuff, the Thundercats, the Transformers. It's all of interest to me because that's really where my interest in this hobby lies, is the collectibles as a kid that really bring back amazing memories. And when it comes to sports and when it comes to pop culture, I really look at the 80s, 90s as just a glory time, a golden time really for all of it. And you can see it today. It's everything today has really been influenced a lot in part by the 80s and 90s pop culture and sports figures. And so let's dive into it. Let's start with the first card. Some of these are not going to be a surprise to many people. This is one that I picked up about 18 months ago. This is the Breeze Black Refractor rookie card. It is numbered to 100, and this one so happens to also be signed, and then we've got a Cool Breeze inscription on the card. So the story behind this one is this is a card that was always a target for me. And I was looking at it in, grade of an 8 or 8, 9, 9.5, looking at kind of the different price points around it. And I thought, man, that's really cool. It's numbered to 100 as well, so it's not impossible to find. Also, just aesthetically, I really like this one, especially compared to the Contenders Auto rookie card, which of course is really popular with Tom Brady. But for Breeze, it's a sticker autograph. I was thinking, man, if I'm going to spend like some pretty serious money on a Breeze rookie, like the one rookie, the one to rule them all in my collection, it was going to be the Black Refractor numbered out of 100. It's just an amazing looking card. And then when this popped up, shout out to Krish, if you happen to see this, is the guy I bought it from. And it popped up on eBay. I think it was in like his eBay store or PSA store, and I was kind of negotiating back and forth. We were able to make a deal on it, and he worked with me on it. So this one popped up, and it was not only signed in black ink, and then also you got the Cool Breeze inscription. It really stood out to me as a card that is a very unique Drew Brees item. There's not another one quite like it. It used to be a Pop 1 as far as the in-person autograph on it. Now I seen there's another one or another couple maybe, but they don't have an inscription and they're signed in blue ink. And it's like, man, a blue ink, like how do you go blue ink with a black border card like this? It's got to be black, or maybe even gold would be kind of cool, but not blue. So I actually was happy when I did see it, because some people had reached out to me and said, oh man, there's another one of these now. So basically saying like, well, this one isn't kind of a one of one. It's not as rare. But again, aesthetics play a big part in it. You know, if it doesn't have an inscription and it's in blue ink and the autograph doesn't look very good, you know, I feel good about my copy here. So again, this was my all-time favorite player. We're New Orleans Saints season ticket holders. I've been a New Orleans Saints fan since I was 6, going back to 1987. We're going through obviously a rebuild now, but the glory years are Drew Brees and Sean Payton, greatest all-time Saint ever. And so this one is one that's just it's gonna stay in the collection for a long, long period of time. All right, a card that I never thought that I was going to be able to own, simply because when you go back to 80s cards, and especially 80s basketball cards, because you had more limited sets in basketball than you did with baseball and football, the 84 star Jordan card, it's one that I just never thought I would be able to afford. It's always been an expensive card. I am not a high roller here. You know, I mean, I'm not someone that spends $20, $30, $40, $50,000 on individual cards or higher. Again, just never thought that I was going to be able to get in on this card. And I've been looking at kind of picking my spots with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, the most collectible player in the hobby. I watched him win his 6 titles going back to when I was a kid, and they finally overcame the Pistons and won the first title in 1991 when I was 10 years old. And when you look at just 80s cards, as I said, this is not a mega rare card in the sense that it's, you know, you can't really compare to 90s inserts that are numbered to 10 or numbered to 25 or numbered to 50. But when you're looking at the time period, when you're looking at just the 1980s, it's not common to have limited print run type style sets. That was a big thing that drew me to the 84 star. I just really liked the card. I liked the history of the card and wanted to find early Michael Jordan cards. I also picked up the Interlake. Love this card as well. It's got a great story behind it. You know, so looking for kind of in my price range, early Jordan cards going back to the 80s. And of course, 86 Fleers on the list as well. I just haven't been able to really kind of wrap my head around what grade I want to get and which copy I want and that sort of thing. Eventually, I will have an 86 Fleer. It's just going to take me a little bit of time to kind of decide on that particular copy. Show that had a big impact on me as a kid. I can remember I was raised by a single mom. I spent a lot of time in front of the TV. It's kind of like Cable Guy, you know, the Cable Guy show, you know, where you're raised by the TV. I wasn't raised by a TV. I love my parents. They did a great job. But I was living with my mom mainly, and she was working a couple of jobs. It was not easy. It was not, we weren't flush with cash. You know, it was, you know, I don't want to say tough because it's always relative to everything else. And when you look around the world, it's like, you know, it wasn't tough compared to the majority of the world, you know, but it was single mom situation. And, you know, we're just kind of doing the best that we could. So a show that had a huge impact on me, there was a lineup on Fox. I remember on Sunday evenings, it was The Simpsons and it was in living color after football. And I didn't realize this card existed until I was an adult. This is the 1993 Skybox Art to Bart card. The thing I like about this is this came out of a junk wax product, 1993 Skybox, where they printed quite a bit of it. It's not limited whatsoever, but they did put these redemption cards inside these boxes. There was 400 redemption cards, and you had a time period of maybe like 18 months. Like whoever pulls this, you know, can send this in, and Matt Groening will create a sketch card. And this is the original sketch card tied with, there's another kind of lesser known IP card, if you kind of research it, tied with this one as far as time frame when it came out. But when you look at kind of the popularity of sketch cards now with Marvel cards and Star Wars and Stranger Things and kind of, you know, all the sketch cards that are out for non-sports, it all started mainly here with Matt Groening doing this mail-in redemption deal. And so this was a card that, again, it wasn't impossible to get, not an inexpensive card though. They are fairly limited. Again, if you go back to the time frame, it's all relative. So when you go back to 1993, the idea that you had something that was, you know, numbered out of 400, not all of them got redeemed. So not all of them had the stamp. There's a lot of different kind of stories around this. But something that's numbered out of 400, each one is kind of individual. Each one is a one of one in its own right. This one is just kind of, you know, Bart here. There's some that have inscriptions above, like him saying something. There's some of Homer Simpson. There's some of the whole family. You know, so they're all kind of different in their own way, which makes this card really unique and one that was always a target to add to my collection. One of my favorite sets growing up when I was collecting cards was 1990 Impel Marvel Universe. I've got a binder with the complete set that I like to look at times because it brings me back to opening those packs, looking for the holograms and so forth that are in that set. But when you really look at the importance of Marvel cards, which Marvel cards are really important in the history of Marvel cards, this is one of them. This is a 2008 Rittenhouse Robert Downey Jr. autograph. There's a couple versions. One of them is in the Iron Man suit. This one, of course, is without the Iron Man suit, and this one is my favorite. Some of these cards have the 2008 inscription, and most of them do not. So that's what really kind of drew me to this one in particular. It did have the inscription. And another card that I didn't necessarily think I was ever going to get because of the price point, it worked out to where this particular copy popped up on Hake's auction, and I was able to get it at a reasonable price. That's an example of a card, again, when you look at kind of important, the history of cards, that movie, that original Iron Man movie with Robert Downey Jr. really kind of kicked the Marvel Universe into high gear, which of course the Marvel Cinema Universe is now the highest grossing of all time, as far as Marvel movies go. And they're continuing on. They've got, their next slate is coming through. They've had a little bit of a rough patch over the last, 3, 4, 5 years. As far as some of the releases, they kind of reached on some things. And, I would say that just kind of the creative direction hasn't been fantastic. And you could say the same for Star Wars too, in some cases. Some things they've done well, other things they have not. Kind of going back to their roots with, some of the big actors with Robert Downey Jr. and Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds and so forth. Over the next 3, 4, 5 years, I think you're going to see more of that sort of stuff. I do think Marvel movies and shows are going to show improvement. In terms of importance for Marvel card collectors, that is certainly a big one, so I was really happy to add that one this year. Okay, we'll round out with Season 5 of Stranger Things is coming up. If you watch the channel, you know that I collect Stranger Things cards. I'm one of 5 people on Earth that does collect them and does chase some of the more rare copies, which frankly is refreshing. It's nice. I don't have tons of competition when I'm bidding on these and trying to win auctions. But really for these cards, given that there's not a lot of competition for a lot of these cards, I'm focusing on kind of the first year autographs for these characters. Now, for many of them, it's 2018. That's the first top set that came out. This, of course, is Hopper, very popular character, and the blues are out of 10. So you've got purple out of 25, you got green out of 50. Some characters have an orange out of 99 and some of them do not. And outside of the blues, in 2018, there was only one dual autograph that was made at all, and it was the directors, the founders of Stranger Things. It's the twins, the Duffer Brothers, and these are on-card autographs out of 10. So this card is out of 10. I know there's another, I think there's one on eBay that's they're asking $77,000 OBO or something, so huge buy it now. It's just because they're so rare, you don't see them pop up. I actually had a viewer reach out to me and said they pulled one of those out of 10, which is incredible. So congrats to that viewer. But the focus here for me is out of 10, and in the later sets, the zero cool ones, they're numbered to 11. So that's Hopper. You've got 11 out of 10. Dustin out of 10. I do not have Will Byers out of 10. So if you know of somebody that has the blue version out of 10 for 2018 for Will Byers, I'm trying to find that one. I'm trying to get all the main characters essentially, not necessarily some of the other characters, the more kind of side characters, but really looking for the main characters. So if you go to for example, Max, this is season 2 and this is her first one. She wasn't in season 1. So depending on the character, their first autograph might be in season 2. It might be in season 4. So Max, for example, this is the blue out of 10. That is for season 2. And then but for example, Vecna or Henry or 1 before he becomes Vecna, all of his stuff is season 4. He doesn't have anything because obviously he wasn't revealed until season 4 of Stranger Things. And so you're seeing, and it's the same thing with Nancy Wheeler's, first autographs are in season 4. So that's where I'm at with my Stranger Things collection, just trying to level up to where most of it is just going to be the blues out of 10 or out of 11, the more rare copies of the autographed versions of the cards. And like I said, because there's not such a lot of interest, there's not a lot of demand for those cards. It's non-sports. It's just, it's a TV show. You might like it, you might not like it. That's been kind of nice, frankly. Non-sports type stuff is different from the Michael Jordan market or the Ohtani market. A lot more demand for those cards, but the price points reflect it. I certainly haven't been a stranger to the idea of just collecting what I like. I don't really follow trends. I don't really follow the crowd. I really just look at what do I really enjoy collecting, and I go after those things. Of course, I'm influenced by other people that, that might like something, and then I look at it, I'm like, oh man, that's really cool, and I would also like to get some of that stuff. I did that, actually, DPZ brought up 2012 Silver Prisms, 2012 for football and basketball cards, and I have been picking up some of those in higher grades because I think that they're just awesome looking aesthetically. aesthetically. And I think 2012 Prism is going to be an important set over time. All right, friends, so those are the cards that I am not selling. What are some of the cards that you are not selling in your collection? You might have, and you know what? You might have a price on everything. There might be some things that you're like, you know what? Honestly, if I got the right price, I would sell my entire collection. That's perfectly okay. Let me know. Are there certain cards that you would never sell, or is everything kind of up for debate? Let me know. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.